All right, hello and welcome to the History of Radio lecture with Journalism 101, Intro to Mass Comm. My name is Kelsey Stewart and this is with Moorpark College. So the development of radio did not emerge as a mass medium until the 1920s. Its origins began with the development of the telegraph in the 1840s, when American inventor Samuel Morse sent electrical impulses from a transmitter through a cable to a reception point. Using what became the Morse code, a series of dots and dashes that stood for letters in the alphabet, telegraph operators transmitted news and messages by interrupting the electrical current along a wire cable. By 1844, Washington and Baltimore were connected by the wire cable. By 1861, we had coast-to-coast connections with the telegraph, and by 1866, the first transatlantic cable, transmitting 6 words per minute, ran between Newfoundland and Ireland along the ocean floor. Ironically, in April 2020, the New York Times recently posted an article on how Russia was out in the areas where the transatlantic cable runs, and information that is also now stored there includes financial reports and personal information. And so it's an interesting article. It's called a deep diving sub, a deadly fire, and Russia's secret undersea agenda. If you guys want to take a look at it for further reading. So we have the telegraph was, helped to create wire transmission and code and communications, but it was revolutionary technology, but it had its limits. It was unable to transmit the human voice, and ships at sea still had no contact with the rest of the world. So in comes a key development, which was the wireless transmission. So James Maxwell, a Scottish physicist who theorized the existence of electromagnetic waves in the 1860s, which were the invisible electronic impulses similar to visible light. He theorized that he could harness radio waves so that signals could be sent from one transmission point to another. The German physicist Heinrich Hertz took those Maxwell's theories and in the 1880s created a device that emitted an electric spark to leap from a small gap between two steel balls. So Guglielmo Marconi, he was a self-educated Italian engineer. He expanded on Hertz's inventions and developed a way to send high-speed messages over a great distance. He received a patent for wireless technology or telegraphy in 1886 and is known as the father of radio. Then we have inventors Lee De Forest, who created the wireless telephony through the development of the Audion, a vacuum tube that detected radio signals and then amplified them. So the Audion helped to improve the ability to hear Morse code clearer, and later helped to detect music and speech across channels. Reginald Fessenden, a Canadian engineer, built a powerful transmitter in 1906 that sent a voice through airwaves from his state at Brant Rock, Massachusetts. Everyone that heard it was astonished to hear a voice in place of traditional Morse code, and this event launched radio as a mass medium. The Radio Act of 1912 required U.S. seagoing ships carrying more than 50 passengers and traveling more than 200 miles off the coast to be equipped with wireless equipment within a 100-mile range. This helped actually to save lives at sea, including more than 700 rescued by ships responding to the Titanic's distress signals 2 years later. The Radio Corporation of America, members of Congress were actually leery of a government or Navy monopoly of radio. So in response, General Electric began the creation of a private monopoly sector that would have the government's approval to dominate the radio industry. They broke off all negotiations with European companies like Marconi's. They limited global reach of Europe, and then General Electric took the lead in founding the RCA in 1919. The RCA pooled the necessary technology then and patents to control wireless patents from the Navy, AT&T, GE, and former American Marconi, and other companies to ensure U.S. control over the manufacture of radio transmitters and receivers. The Radio Act then of 1927 established the Federal Radio Commission, so the FCC, as a temporary the FRC as a temporary agency to oversee licenses and negotiate channel assignments. This expressed the principle that licenses did not own their channels but could only license them as long as they operated to serve the public interest, convenience, or necessity. The Federal Radio Commission was created to oversee licenses and negotiate channel problems. The FRC was intended as a temporary committee, but it grew into a powerful regulated agency. So the Communications Act of 1934 established the Federal Communications Commission to replace the FRC. So the FRC regulated radio, the telephone, the telegraph, and later the television, cable, and the internet. The Congress agreed to a system of advertising-supported commercial broadcasting despite the concerns of public. It wasn't until the Telecommunications Act of 1996, which eliminated most radio and television station ownership rules. This was dating back even more than 50 years. So enormous national and regional state groups formed, dramatically changing the sound and localism of radio in the United States. For more extended sources on the history of radio, you can look up radiohistory.gov or the Economic History Association. Radio has transcended from a mass media to a digitally mass media, and we will look at that further in our podcasting lecture.